From the No-Duh Department, a secret Pentagon report shows that the U.S., quote, created ISIS as a, quote, tool to overthrow Syria. No duh. Quote, a declassified secret U.S. government document obtained by Judicial Watch shows that Western governments deliberately allied with Al-Qaeda and other Islamic extremist groups to topple Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. According to the declassified document, the Pentagon foresaw the likely rise of the, quote, Islamic State as a direct consequence of the strategy, but went onward in order to strategically isolate the Syrian regime, even specifically forecasting that, quote, an Islamic State through its union with other terrorist organizations in Iraq and Syria was likely. Melissa, did you know that?
I'm getting ready. Yeah, I knew that. Everybody knows that. Get...
Declassified or common sense? CIA funding, training, weapons, Melissa?
Yeah, everybody knows that.
So you knew that?
Yeah.
New boogeyman, which path to Persia?
I knew that 3 years ago. Everybody knew that 3 years ago.
Tiger on a leash?
Yeah.
Order out of chaos.
The Saudis and Israelis have been helping with this for a really long time. Everybody knows it. Gas, oil wars, Aaron?
What if I told you that every moment you've been alive, you've been trapped in a box?
A form of control, a virtual prison. You can't see, taste, smell, touch, or hear.
What is the key?
How would you break free? How?
First of all, you just got to get control of the fact that life isn't what it used to be. It's not your grandma's life. It's not your daddy's life. It's not the American dream. If that ever existed, it has been absorbed.
You have to be asleep to believe it. Isn't that what George Carlin said?
And now, this week, in the creeping horror. Despite all this, Western militaries continued their support, and the media almost always declared the Syrian rebels to be moderate, liberal, democratic, and therefore deserving of the West's support. And now Melissa with a flood story.
I'm standing in front of one of the lakes that flooded in the recent Texas storms, which tragically killed 21 people, as Texas, a state which normally doesn't see nearly this much rain, has now experienced rains unlike any the state has seen since 1929. Elsewhere, California still hasn't seen any rain. It's still freezing in Michigan, and temps in India have soared to 118 degrees, killing 1,400 people in just the past month alone. In what I am sure is totally unrelated news, last fall, all over the world, geoengineering conferences hosted tens of thousands of scientists who openly declared in December 2014 that geoengineering would be moving out of the laboratory and into the field, despite the fact that it may harm billions. Back to you, Aaron.
And basically, it wouldn't take a cynic to point out that where there's more than people can handle, there's plenty of money to be made. Too hot, too cold, too dry, too wet. And in other news, carnivals are set up to make money off of suckers, and banks issue loans to profit off of idiots. And it would appear that the culture war is under military occupation, with the former defense secretary telling the Boy Scout organization, prepare to surrender. Oh yes, apparently someone made former Defense Secretary Robert Gates president of the Boy Scouts. Why is Robert Gates president of the Boy Scouts anyway? It appears his tenure has been coordinated with the attempt to undermine the values and tradition of private organizations, as governments are so great at doing. Gates, as president of the Scouts, did what the Supreme Court said it could never do, force them to go gay.
Hello.
How can I help you guys?
Aren't we on a public sidewalk?
Can you turn the camera off, please?
We're just here doing a report, sir.
This is private property. Monsanto.
We're on a public sidewalk.
Is it private property?
Is the sidewalk private? Are you informing us that the sidewalk is public property?
If the sidewalk's public property or private property, we'll leave, sir.
Require photo releases. Take photos of
This is a public property right here, though.
Is this a public sidewalk or is this
filming
private
anything.
property right here?
It's private. It is a public.
I was filming him standing
So we're on a public sidewalk, sir. We have a right to report. It's called the First Amendment.
Oh, we got multiple people now coming here. He's not going to tell us.
Have a good day.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
It's apparent that Monsanto is not giving in without a fight, even when abandoned by their friends in the grocery and restaurant business. In a world where no means no, Monsanto is not taking no for an answer. Instead, they're educating people. Right here you see a group of kids about to be indoctrinated at the Monsanto Lecture Center.
What a horrible existence that must be.
And taking it even to the World Health Organization to fight against them for labeling glyphosate as a, quote, probable human carcinogen.
This week, the Washington Post editorial board took Chipotle to task for responding to free market and eliminating genetically engineered ingredients off of its menu by telling the restaurant that its decision was, quote, not only contrary to the best scientific knowledge, but also potentially harmful to vulnerable populations around the world. Because as we all know, the entire world rises and sets based on the decisions of Chipotle. Back to you, Aaron.
Fast food is in the news again with Pizza Hut and Taco Bell vowing to remove artificial ingredients to please customers. They said, quote, the restaurant chain's corporate parent Yum Brands said all artificial colors and flavors will be removed from the pizzas by the end of July. Taco Bell will also follow suit by removing artificial colors and flavor and also trans fats by the end of 2015, following in the wake of other restaurants like Chipotle, Panera Bread, and Similac Baby Food. Yeah, those are the people you want to trust. With more on that, we go to Melissa.
This week, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell have announced that they will be getting rid of all artificial colors and flavors from the ingredients on their menu. Begging the question, what will actually be left on the menu?
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I saw on the news that you guys are going to be getting rid of artificial flavors and colors. And I was just wondering, is there anything on the menu that doesn't have artificial flavors and colors?
The only thing that I do know that does is going to be the Sierra Mist or the root beers.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For example, black pepper flavor will now be replaced by just black pepper. What a revelation.
So your options are a soda and a soda?
Back to you, Aaron.
And now more from the Department on Economic Warfare and Cultural Bombardment that is quickly bringing society to capitulation. Researchers predicted in 1971 that debit cards would be the ultimate surveillance tool. They tasked a team to study what the, quote, most comprehensive yet invisible surveillance program would be. And what's more, they did it under the guise of it being a communist system. What they chose was not cell phone calls or cameras on every street, but electronic funds transfer systems, much like the debit cards we have today. Where's Eddie Snowden on that one, huh? A participant in the experiment, Paul Armour, a computer scientist for the RAND Corporation, said this cashless society was the worst possible threat to American privacy that he could conceive of. You know that, Melissa?
Yeah. Specifically, we are now focused on this particular act of piracy and the seizure of a ship that carries 21 American citizens. I think Morocco was the very first country that recognized us, going back a long time, and we worked together to end piracy off the coast of Morocco all those years ago, and we're going to work together to end this kind of criminal activity anywhere on the high seas. Thank you.
And while the biggest of the big on Wall Street have been driving up the prices of homes and buying up single-family homes so that people who would have once just bought the homes will now become renters, other moguls are now buying up trailer parks to hike up rents on the poor and make a killing off those among us who have the least. Melissa? While Warren Buffett, who owns the largest mobile home manufacturer, Clayton Homes, and two of the largest mobile home lending companies, has allegedly, Melissa, allegedly, she says, allegedly engaged in deceptive practices, and that, quote, today there's a huge number of poor people, more poor people than ever before. Damn shame squeezing blood from a turnip. I guess the death of the middle class will soon be followed by the death of these sorta kinda working lower and poor classes. Melissa? On October 3rd, 1963, just a few weeks before President Kennedy was assassinated, an article by Arthur Kroc appeared in the New York Times, which describes the words of a, quote, very high American official as saying the following. The CIA's growth was, quote, likened to a malignancy, which the very high official, quote, was not even sure the White House could control any longer. If the United States ever experiences an attempt at a coup to overthrow the government, the article continued, it will come from the CIA and not the Pentagon, as the agency, quote, represents a tremendous power and total unaccountability to anyone.
One could have ever rested on the answer no comment.
The government went through a lot of agony. We looked very silly.
Surely it was all in jest, however, as the CIA are only here to fulfill their mission of preempting threats to and furthering U.S. national security objectives, which have nothing to do with totalitarian tyranny, or if they live electronic enslavement scenario. And America lived happily ever after.
We have been told that approximately 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was in a very high state of density, then suddenly expanded in a giant explosion referred to as the Big Bang. After everything cooled, subatomic particles formed, which led to the creation of simple atoms. Large clouds of these primordial elements eventually coalesced through gravity to form galaxies and stars.
Space! Solar system!
Skip ahead a little. We're told that life first appeared in the sea 4 billion years ago in the form of a single-celled organism, which later grew into multicellular organisms. After these began multiplying, a great mass extinction event 440 million years ago randomly killed off nearly every living thing on the planet. After more stuff started to grow, plants and insects, another mass extinction event. Dinosaurs, mass extinction event. Birds, fish, reptiles, mass extinction event, and another mass extinction event. We are told that never in all that time were there ever any more advanced civilizations on the planet than these animals. Then, 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens showed up. The pyramids that were built were just tombs?
We don't have the technology to build the pyramids now. Not even close.
And electricity didn't exist in an industrial or residential capacity until the late 19th century.
The arc lamp used in the lighthouse of Alexandria is further proof that electricity was used in ancient Egypt.
We're not the most evolved we've ever been.
On Isaac Newton's laws of motion, laws revered for more than 200 years.
We have put our faith in astronomers, archaeologists, and theoretical geologists to reconstruct our history, even though, as Dr. Donald Scott points out in his book The Electric Sky, there are no tangible, usable products from which we can judge the validity of these theories emanating from sciences that deal with events that happened long, long ago and far, far away,
we're able to create a two-headed dog with 6 legs.
Professional astronomers judge success by the degree to which other astronomers believe and accept their ideas. They do not produce results which can be physically evaluated. Archaeologists dig holes and look at bones and shards and write papers and tell impressive stories about mankind's history. Theoretical geologists tell stories about how continents have shifted and when mountains formed. Both are successful if other archaeologists and geologists accept their hypotheses, and their theories are published in respected scientific journals like Discover and Scientific American. None of these fields produce any results that can be tested experimentally by the general public. Fast forward, and now there are 7 billion of us, and we're told by the same scientists who told us the rest of the story that the 6th mass extinction event is already underway.
So we're half human and half extraterrestrial. We're hybrids.
We're meant to live in the box they built, never taking the lid off. We are born, we consume, reproduce, and die in there, with no higher purpose or significance. With no higher purpose or significance. With no higher purpose or significance. No higher purpose or significance.
What happens when you cross 2 breeds of pure evil together? See this? That's a billionaire and a president's wife meeting.
Know you love to wave your FBI badge in people's face and scream about aliens.
Rockefellers have been genetically adulterating the food supply since the 40s. They had private genetic scientists living at their mansions. Haven't you ever heard of the Earth Star? Some say it's the key to everything. That's where the Rockefellers set up their private ranch and their big donation. Project Bluebeam would be used to fake an alien invasion and pacify the public.
She's running for president. No one can ask her any questions. Not you, not anybody. Science. Science, 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 science. Okay? And science.
You always make me do autopsies. I'm like the autopsy queen of this show.
Also science. Your sister, is she dead or was she kidnapped by aliens? I don't even know what's going on with your sister anymore. I've seen 5 of your sisters in the show, and they all look the same, but they're different, and then there's the little girl robot sister, and then there's the ghost sister.
How do you think it feels to find out your father might be Darth Vader? Your story can't possibly compare with mine. It's too tragic.
No, that's true. Your story sucks.
Pack your bags, Scolder. We're going to the United Nations.
God, you always make us go to freaking places like this. It sucks. I don't want to go.
I had someone show up at 3 a.m. on my doorstep bleeding with the name Rockefeller in their chest.
What? That sounds like an average Tuesday night at your house.
Hillary Clinton, I take no pleasure in saying this. Don't move or I'll shoot, and get your hands off the Rockefeller clone.
Molly, just throw water on her. She'll melt. This is a fluoride treatment plant. This is where they add the fluoride to the water because it's so good for your teeth. You know, the other day on a video I did 2 years ago where I just drank a glass of water, just a simple action, and I said, you know, when I swallow this water, how long does this water have contact with my teeth before it goes inside my body? And the fluoride in it affects my soft tissues, organs, and the other parts of my body.
How long did that take for me to drink that water and swallow it? It was like half a second, maybe a whole second. Okay, how much of that time do you think that water had contact with the deep pits in my teeth, if I have any? How long did that actually have contact with that? Because I'm gonna go with hardly at all. What it did have contact with is all the other parts inside my body. So why would you take a medicine for your teeth that is affecting every other part of your body when you drink it.
Just the other day, someone decided to leave a comment for me on that video about how I'm just stupid because I don't understand that when you swallow fluoride in your water, it is a smart chemical that knows how to only affect your teeth in a positive way and then not affect the rest of your body at all. And I'm just an idiot because I don't understand the logic behind fluoride in the water.
I don't know anybody who takes a drink of water, right, and just swishes it around in their mouth for like 30 minutes. If you drink water like that, then you obviously have way more time than the average person.
Well, I guess I'm just an idiot then, because no, I don't understand that, because that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard yet.
I've had the chance to be inside this facility, and it's a giant pool tank where they filter the water through a large charcoal filter. Seems pretty reasonable. They do add chlorine and a couple other things. And then they have tanks on the side that they could easily turn on or off that feed in the fluorosilicic acid. And it's got a hazard warning. It's clearly dangerous. The pipes around it are corrosive. And they're adding it just deliberately on purpose.
This water, you drink it, you swallow it, it's gone. So why do we need to have medicine in there that's barely making contact with the places in our teeth that is supposed to be helping? It doesn't make any sense. But I'll tell you what does make sense to me. We are being poisoned. That's the bottom line.
It's not like a pollutant that they can't easily get rid of.
It's a byproduct of
pouring it in our water.
Fertilizer manufacturing, and we're drinking it because it's easier to just use us as recycle bins. Oh no, they're opening the gate. Yeah, we probably should leave. Oh no, did we set off the alarm? Drive away.
Alright, so I was nosing around in our video Smedley Butler to Hell with War, and I saw down here in the comments that one of our frequent commenters, Dave PK1, said, "What the hell is this? It's surrounded by churches of the DC area. It sits in what looks like a hexagram traffic area. When I first visited it on Google Maps, it had one of those red flag markers and a description box with a street view of the building. It's a fairly big building with 4 floors and a very strange name." What he's talking about, the Ebola Center for the Dark Arts, is listed on this Google address. And they have these traffic circles in Washington, D.C. He's saying, "Isn't it strange? It's surrounded by a First Baptist Church. There's some embassies for places like Trinidad and Tobago. There's the Jefferson, which I think is a fairly well-known building. All these centers, and then the Ebola Center for the Dark Arts." How weird is that?
There's a phone number. You want to call it?
The Ebola Center for the Dark Arts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Hang up.
Wow, so I don't think that's the ordinary secretary for the Ebola Center for the Dark Arts. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
The Ebola Center.
Satan's Saturday Night Hangout. The Ebola Black Magic Center, where we put hexes on people.
With the weird sex hotline.
Is this what the Ebola Czar has been up to? Has he been in meetings in this building? Are we going to hear about this?
No.
And no show would be complete without this clip. Ladies and gentlemen, I present.
We need food and water to survive. But if fallout settles on your food, the food itself isn't harmed or made radioactive, since radiation only damages living tissue. You simply remove the fallout particles using everyday methods of food preparation: peeling, wiping, or washing. Fallout swallowed accidentally with food or in drinking water would do you no immediate harm.
Well, that's it for tonight. Sorry if it's just not that funny how screwed up things are. I guess you just can't get pissed off about these things in this country. I feel a great monologue coming on, just laying it all out. Maybe next time. Thank you so much for watching this freaking show. Watch it again right now. Watch it again next week. Tell a friend and then watch it again with them. Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate you watching it. Support, help spread it. We couldn't do it without you, everybody. Couldn't. So you knew that.
Yeah.
This was a stupid date.
All the remotes. All of them. Mine. Mine.
So I see that peer-reviewed science means industry teat-sucking yes men. Who do I make my check out to?
We can't even.